A couple of people on Tester might have noticed that sometimes your meter can refill super quickly for some reason. So I looked into this, and not only did I figure out why it happens, I also uncovered a whole bunch of issues with the way that meter regen works in this game that I'm going to be going over in this video. So the first thing that you may not know is different amplified attacks refill meter at different rates. So that's Cabal's amplified ground buzzsaw. And the meter comes back in around 13 seconds. And that's his amplified air buzzsaw. And the meter comes back in around 10 seconds. So the super quick refill bug happens if you use your first bar of meter for an amplified attack that refills meter slowly, and you use the second bar for an amplified attack that refills meter quicker than the first one. So if I do Cabal's ground buzzsaw amplified, which refills in 13 seconds, and his air buzzsaw amplified, which refills in 10 seconds, I should get the bug. So the first bar of meter came back in 13 seconds, which is the rate of the ground buzzsaw refill. And the second bar of meter came back in 7 seconds, which isn't the rate of anything. So I gained back meter quicker than the rates would suggest. If you do this the other way around, so I do is air buzzsaw amplified, which refills quicker than the ground buzzsaw amplified. The first bar of meter comes back in 13 seconds, which is the rate of the ground buzzsaw refill. And the second bar of meter also comes back in 13 seconds, so you actually regen meter slower than the rates would suggest. For some reason, if you do 2 amplified attacks and the first one recovers meter quicker than the second one, both bars come back at the slower attacks refill rate. So this has pretty big implications for the refill rate of your defensive meter. So if I do a wake up 3, both my meters come back in around 10 seconds. But as you know, using your defensive meter for a breakaway causes it to refill super slow. So if I do a breakaway, that first bar comes back in around 16 seconds. The weird thing is, if I do a wake up 3 before letting my defensive meter refill back to full, the regen rate stays stuck at the breakaway's slow refill rate. So I can show this better if I get the meter to be pretty low. So as you can see, it's refilling at the breakaway rate. I'll do it one more time. And yeah, you can clearly tell based on how fast the offensive meter is recovering that my defensive meter is stuck at the breakaway's slow refill rate. So at this point, I've definitely paid the cost of that breakaway, so it's definitely super weird that the meter refills at that super slow rate. So the only way to get your regular refill rate back is to let the defensive meter refill back to full. And since the last thing I did was a wake up 3, which recovers meter quicker than a breakaway, I get the super fast refill bug again, and the first bar comes back quicker. So yeah, there are quite a few issues with the way that meter regen works in this game. Clearly the system has trouble dealing with meter regeneration when you do two different things that have different refill rates. So the two biggest issues are being permanently stuck at the breakaway meter refill rate until you let your defensive meter fill back to full, and when you do two amplified attacks but both meters fill back at the rate of the slower attack, because both of these issues can cause you to not have meter when you should, and I think NRS really needs to address these issues.